Warning, this video isn't really intended for my usual audience. I know oftentimes I probably attract friends of mine, people who aren't always into Thomas the Tank Engine, but I know that there are a few people out there. I'm looking at you, Weebus and Spider-Fan. Anyways, today's a bit of a different video. I'm going to be going through my TOMY and Trackmaster Thomas and Friends collection. I've been building up this collection for a very long time, and it's just something that, as a kid, I loved playing with, and even as a teenager, I loved playing with. And I thought that it'd be fun to go through the big ass bin that I have these guys in, and do a collection video for you. This isn't gonna be easy. Now I know how most people do this. They line up pieces of track and they put the engines on there in like some sort of numerical order. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be different, and I'm gonna go through because there's a lot of stories I can tell you guys about each and every one of these, just about. So, enough with this introduction, let's get into it. Alright, let's get a good crotch shot in there. Alright, let's start off, let's reach into the bin and pull out my personal favorite engine, James. Now, James is an interesting one for me. James is my personal favorite Thomas the Tank Engine character. I loved his design in general, from his color to his shape, to like his brass dome. It all just complemented so well. He really was a splendid red engine. I always really liked his attitude. Now, I actually had an original TOMY James many years ago. However, I traded it to a friend for a scruffy model that we'll see soon enough. So Garrett, if you're watching this, I'll trade you the scruffy back if you still have my TOMY James, dude. If you're watching this, please, dude, I want my TOMY James back. I treasured that fucking thing. I took that thing to a day out with Thomas, bro. Please. Alright, moving on. This stubby Thomas. This is not going to be my only Thomas model. This is a slightly more stubby one. Now, one thing that you'll notice about a lot of the old TOMY products is that anything on the side was most of the time a sticker. When here, it's printed on, like painted on. It's like printed into the plastic. And like this Thomas is pretty different from other Thomases that you'll see. It kind of looks like a weird combination of like Hit Entertainment era Trackmaster and Trackmaster 2. Next up, we have, just pulling random ones, Emily. Now, Emily, I don't know. I mean, I loved her Trackmaster model because I thought as a kid it was so accurate to the TV show with her big wheel and how her piston and how her side rods moved. Now, one thing that's weird about my Emily model is that for some reason a few years ago, the freewheeling doesn't work very well. The back wheel is just really stuck, and I tried taking her apart and figuring out what was wrong, but I could not figure it out. So I kind of stopped playing with Emily. Alright, next up is Devious Diesel. My Devious Diesel model is in pretty good condition, all things considered. It's an original TOMY, Devious Diesel, as you can tell by the face, and the printing on the bottom. Now, what I liked about TOMY models is that you didn't need to unscrew anything. You put the thing on the thing, and then you could just take it off. It was that easy. Now, there's not much to say about Diesel. I've had him for a long time. He kind of has some white dust, and I actually think that's crushed up clay that I used as quarry rock on him or something. I don't know. I like playing with my trains. I like getting them a little dirty. Alright, here's one of my not quite TOMY Thomases. It's not really quite an original TOMY because it has the red striping on the top here. This is just another one of my many Thomas models. Not much to say here. He's got some scuffing. He's got some scuffs on his stickers and whatnot. He's got a bit of a dirty face compared to some of my other ones. There's not much to say about him other than that. Oh, and I guess one of his screws is loose too. I might have to fix that later. Next up is a really kind of screwed up Stepney model. I actually got this from my Uncle Kenny a very long time ago. As you can see, the middle dummy wheels that usually sits in the middle are gone. He doesn't really work anymore, unfortunately. He's a aged model because it's an original TOMY Stepney. The sticker for his splasher has been torn off. The sticker on his name tag is coming off. He still has a smile on his face. I feel like, if anything, I'd harvest this face for a Hornby Terrier model or something like that. I'd just keep him around, and then eventually I'd take the face off and put it on a Hornby Terrier if it would even fit. but I like still keeping him around. He's scuffed up and he's damaged, but he still freewheels like a boss. So he's still viable in my book. Alright, next up is a model that I'm very upset doesn't work anymore, Edward. Edward was a great model. I think this is also an original TOMY Edward. Edward was always a favorite of mine as a kid, once again, just due to how accurate he was to the television series. He has his 4 running wheels. He has his 4 what are these? Guiding wheels, I think they're called. And then, of course, his 4 driving wheels, which I always really liked. And I liked that as a kid. And of course, like all my models, he freewheels just fine. However, he is not, even if, I mean, he doesn't have a battery in him now, but he doesn't work anymore. One of the wires that leads from the battery compartment in his tender to his motor is cut, and that kind of sucks. So, rest in peace, Edward. Alright, moving on. Well, I mean, it's Ferdinand. Enough said. I don't like Misty Island Rescue. I don't think anyone does. I liked it as a kid. That's really about it. Alright, let's move on to a character that actually matters. Gordon. Now, this is my newer Gordon model that I got, I want to say like 2013, something like that. I got this from my extended family out in Pennsylvania, and he's a very, very clean Gordon model. And when we look at my old Gordon model, you'll wonder why. You'll probably understand why I choose using this one. There's not much to say about it. It's much better than pretty much any other Gordon model. I love the face. I think the shape is perfect. I think the number 4 is a bit chunky, a bit too big, but that's really my only complaint. Another not quite Tommy Thomas. This one, actually, this was the one that I used in the Season 25 rant. He still has his battery in him. Yeah, it's just in better condition than the old one. I guess this was also the one I used in my Best of 2020 compilation. Alright, moving on. Here's a cool one. Diesel 10. Diesel 10 is my favorite antagonist, like, hands down. He's the best antagonist in the Thomas the Tank Engine series. This is an original Tomy model as well. I think this is just a great... Outside of the fact that Pinchy can't, like, you know, doesn't have much articulation and only can really open and close like that, that's my only gripe with this. Other than that, I think it's a freaking incredible model. Here's our first kind of piece of rolling stock, Rocky. I've had Rocky for a while now, ever since some of his later episodes came out. Ever since I first saw him in the CGI series, I didn't really see him in the model series when he came out in like season 12 or something like that. So I wanted to get my hands on him, and eventually I did. We found him at a garage sale, and he doesn't work anymore. He's in very poopy condition, so I have no idea how he worked. I have no idea what his gimmick was outside the fact that he had a magnet on his crane arm here. But he's cool. He's my only breakdown crane, and I would like to get the original breakdown crane, like the green one, but only time will tell. Here's a fun one. Here's Steven. Now, I'm pretty sure that I think this is the first model that we're looking at that was released after Mattel bought the franchise in, what was it, 2012, I think it was? No. No, I think it was 2012, right? This was before Trackmaster 2 came out, and I actually personally really liked King of the Railway. I thought it was a good special. I thought it was a lot of fun. It did have some pacing issues, but I think that's just attributing to Andrew Brenner's early writing in the show. I love the model. I remember when I got it, I was really excited to see the big wheels in action. I don't know why. But yeah, I think everything about this just looks really nice. This is another model that I'd probably harvest the face for if I ever got a Stephenson's Rocket, like, Hornby model or something like that. Alright, next up is an engine I quite like, and I really wanted a Trackmaster model of for the longest time. Hank, the big-ass American engine from Season 12. I don't know what it was about Hank. I freaking loved him as a kid. I looked at this guy and he was huge, and his model was so... I don't know why. There's nothing particularly special about him. His boiler's a bit messed up. Don't know what that's about. But anyways, like, I don't know what it was about Hank, but I really wanted him, and when I got him, I was so freaking excited. It was so cool to have him. He's another one of the tender-powered engines. But wow, he is a looker. He definitely has a lot to him just for his overall size. I don't know. He was just one that I really wanted, and I was really excited to get my hands on. Alright, next up is my first ever Trackmaster model, Skarloey. Scarloey has seen better days. He has seen better days. Once again, I'm going to say it again. Original TOMY model, he's really like just worn with all of his paint. His funnel's completely fallen off. You'd think that'd be more appropriate for a Peter Sam model. And the strips on his wheels got torn off. Now, I actually did that on purpose, because eventually they got lodged or something like that, and he could not freewheel, so I just was like, screw it, I cut them off, and now he could freewheel again. That missing funnel is kind of a deal breaker for me, I don't know about that. But this was one I think I got from my dad a very long time ago, and I think, he's a pretty good model. Just overall, I mean, outside the missing funnel, which is my fault, he just looks good. Alright, moving on. Here's Donald. Now, this is a trend with me. Every time I got one twin, I would never get the other. So I have Donald, but no Douglas. And, look at that face. How could you say no to that face? I mean, I think the Donald and Douglas models are fine. They're pretty much exactly the same. I don't know why, but proportion-wise, they were never the greatest for me. I think their tenders are pretty good, but the whole model itself just, I don't know, it looked really off. There was a severe lack of pinstripe on the splashers, which really bugged me. I felt that the models, just did not look a whole lot like the characters in the show. But I still think it's a cool looking model. It pleased me enough as a child, and it pleases me enough today. Here's another narrow gauge engine. Rheneas. This is a newer one, coming from probably I don't know, Blue Mountain Mystery era. I don't know, 2009. No, that might have been Blue Mountain Mystery era. No, because that 2009 was when the series first went CGI. So, okay, never mind. Rheneas. I think he looks pretty dang good. I like that he's a bit longer and a bit thinner than... Well, I mean, thin might be a stretch of the amount. It might be a bit of a stretch, but you get the idea. Overall, he's a pretty good model. This is a bit of a weird one. This is Dennis. Oh, son of a... This is Dennis. I forget what season he was from, and what was interesting about Dennis is I really wanted him for some reason, but I'd never seen his episode. So when I saw him, he just looked like, oh, he's a Diesel. I want Diesel guy. I didn't see his episodes at all from season 11 or whatever season it was from. I just wanted him for some reason. Also, here's the little gripe that I have about Dennis is, why wasn't he in the CGI series? The Sharon Miller, I think it was Day of the Diesels that introduced, what was it, Norman? Norman's like the exact same Diesel as Dennis. Why didn't they just bring back Dennis? They could have brought back Dennis and Splatter and Dodge, but no, they got Sidney, Paxton, and fucking Norman. I mean, Paxton was I like Paxton, but still, I just think that's kind of lame. Alright, Dennis, you're going away. Next up, Bertram. Bertram is an interesting one, because Bertram was that one-off character from Season 5 that everyone remembers, I think. Now, I like Bertram, but that's mainly just because of his shape, and that's mainly just sort of an out of ironic enjoyment, because he's literally just Duke with Smudger's face. I find it ironic that they went through the trouble of modeling a face for Bertram, and they didn't, take that time to make a character who was more memorable like Smudger. Bertram's total, screen time in the series was 19 seconds, and yet he got a buttload of merchandise. I think that's a bit weird. So Bertram's fine. I like his Trackmaster model. I think the only reason I got him was because I thought I was getting Duke, but I got Bertram instead, and I got Duke a little bit later on. Alright, so here's that TOMY. I think, is it an original TOMY? Okay, thank God it is not. It is not an original TOMY. I hope not. Is it? No, it's by Hit Entertainment. This is not an original TOMY. This is my custom, Gordon Gets Fucked Up custom. Look at that. Now, if you can't really see it, Gordon is covered in, orange paint. It looks sort of like he got covered in dust or something, which I think it's a cool look, and I'm glad that I didn't accidentally do it, and I'm glad I didn't do this to an original TOMY, but I don't know what I was thinking. I think this is something that you'd see in an amateur, Thomas, an amateur original episode of on someone's YouTube channel in 2010. I don't know, maybe I might use it for that, I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, this is my only custom. I say that in heavy quotes. But yeah, rolling in the pile. Alright, here's Thomas number 3. This is a bit of a different incarnation of Thomas. He still has a little juice in him. This is still another incarnation of Thomas. It's a bit more close to the Tomy Thomas in terms of shape, but it has the weird chunky Thomas attributes of having like the pinstripe and number printed onto it instead of like a sticker. But it still has a sticker for the windows and whistle on the cab. I don't know. This is probably one of my favorite Thomas models. I just think the face is accurate, the shape is nice. I like this. I think I like this one. There you go. All right, here, continuing the trend with twins. Here's Ben without Bill. I don't know, dude. I think, like, I don't know if I just have like a personal vendetta against having both twins, but like, goddamn, it sucks having a twin without the other twin, because now you got Ben. I can't reenact Diesel or Buffer Bother. Actually, fuck that. Who would want to recreate Buffer Bother? Next up, here's Henry. Now, if you watched my season 25 rant and you watched Henry kind of puff by, you may be wondering, where the fuck are his side rods? Well, I'll tell you. A long time ago, I took a trip to Indiana with my mom, and when I went out there, I took some of my trains with me. There was a kid at one of the houses, and I let him play with my train, and he took off the side rods, both of them. Just motherfucker ripped them off, and I hated him. I hated them for that. I don't remember their name, I don't remember what they look like, and I will just be internally pissed because my one and only Henry model just got a big old key feature ripped off. And this is a great Henry model. Everything about this just is beautiful. Like, look at this. The proportions are excellent. The shape is amazing. The tender's spot on. The base is very Henry. And just, I mean, I still use it, of course. But I'm just, oh, but yeah, I'm upset. Alright, here is Mavis. Now, Mavis, I got at Kmart. Remember when those were a thing? That's really the only interesting fact about her, other than, like, the other day I was kind of going through my trains, and, I opened up Mavis, and there was a 10-year-old, C battery inside of her, and she still worked when I put in a different one, so that's kind of shocking. There's that. Alright, now here's the engine that I wanted instead of Bertram. Duke, the Lost Engine. Duke is nice. Duke, we pretty much just looked at him earlier with Bertram, but Duke is an objectively better model. I prefer his lighter brown color. I like his smiling face. It's very kind. It's a very heartwarming face. He just looks happy. It's just a solid model. It looks just like Duke, if anything. Like that face. Yeah, that's definitely Duke. So yeah, there's that. Also, like this video if your dad is nicknamed Duke. You know who the fuck you are. Here is Molly. Molly is a character that I wish they would have brought back for season... What season was it? Was it 24? This is the character that I wish they would have brought back in Wubba that wasn't Rebecca, because Rebecca is a used piece of toilet paper of a character. I would have much preferred Molly because she was she was a cool character. I liked her. Molly's model's actually pretty nice. I think her tender is a bit big, but that's just because the motor's in there, so that's kind of something you have to give a pass on. I like that her wheel arrangement is pretty much identical as how it is in the show. Now, one thing that always bothered me as a kid was the face. Now, I didn't like how the face wrapped all the way around the smoke box, because that's not how it looked like in the show. However, there's a really interesting reason as to why. The only reason Molly looked the way she did in the show was because the people who were making her face were inexperienced, so they ended up making her face undersized, and they just went with it. They just went with it for like the episode, and they were like, fuck it. And then all promotional art and merchandise, Molly's proper sized head was used. I always thought that was a bit strange. I would have preferred something that was more TV show accurate, because I actually thought the look kind of looked nice. It looked interesting. It didn't look off. It didn't like bother me, or I don't think it's bothered anyone, so I don't know why they didn't just keep it that way. Alright, here's another narrow gauge engine. Here's Duncan. I like Duncan. I think his model is a bit weird proportion-wise, but once again, I think that's just due to the way Trackmaster is built. I don't know about the face. The face always kind of bugged me. It didn't really scream Duncan to me, but everything else did. Particularly liked how thin his boiler was. I really liked that. You got tiny buffers, though. You do got tiny buffers, though. Here's, which one is this? Dash. Here's Dash, one of the logging locos. enough said. Here's Salty. Salty the duck. How the hell do you still work, my guy? Okay, he's old, but he still has some battery power in him. Salty, I actually had 2 Salties a very long time ago. I actually think that this battery in here is from, like, back when okay, so I used to have my old TOMY track, but I got rid of it all in exchange for the brown track that was produced during the Hit Entertainment license, which, objectively, is better. I love the TOMY track. I think it's great. I think it's very styled. I think I like the style, just plain old blue track, but I prefer the more realistic brown track. But, Salty was just one of the... I had 2 Salties, and I gave one to whoever got my TOMY track. Salty's a good model. That face is the face is accurate. The color that they chose is very accurate. Everything about this model is just really good. Alright, here we go. Here's the most overrated character in Thomas history, Duck the Great Western Engine. And Duck I got for Christmas back when I was in 2nd grade. Now, I kind of wish I had the TOMY Duck instead of the Weird Entertainment one, because his face is not particularly flattering. It definitely looks like, if you showed me that face out of context, it'd be like, oh yeah, that's Duck. But just, it's kind of weird. And I'm not the biggest fanboy of Duck like most people are, but I like this model. I think it's a good model. It definitely looks like Duck because Duck has such a unique shape. I think the Trackmaster style does suit him. I kind of wish that these stickers weren't so blatantly obvious. Like, look at that. It's so blatantly obvious that that's a sticker. I would have preferred, like, them being printed on, like with some of the Thomas models that I showed you in the past. But whatever. Here is Stanley. Now, Stanley's a fun little character. I like his shape. I like the white. I think the white suits him with a good color, and his silver smoke box and kind of longer, skinnier funnel. The red on white with a bit of silver is really pretty. I'm also a sucker for the Great Discovery. It's probably in my top 5 Thomas specials just due to nostalgia and the fact that Pierce Brosnan is the narrator. But you know, Stanley's a good model. His face is accurate. His shape is also very accurate. I particularly like how his coal bunker is shaped kind of in a bit of a slanted L shape. That's really all there is to him. Here is another narrow gauge engine, Peter Sam. Peter Sam is very similar style-wise to the Scarlowi and Rheneas models, having static side rods over here. The green is accurate. I like that they gave him the special funnel. I forget what it's called, a fluent ejector or something like that. The face is very Peter Sammy. Yeah, he's very similar stylistically to Rheneas. It's probably going to offend someone when I say that, but it's kind of true. It's kind of true. They got a similar shape going on in Trackmaster form. And yet another narrow gauge engine is Fearless Freddy. Fearless Freddy is a weird one-off character. Not a one-off character. A weird, just Hit Entertainment created character. I don't understand why Hit Entertainment chose to use Fearless Freddy instead of Ivo Hugh. I think that would have made more sense since they're pretty much the same engine style-wise. Whatever. I thought Fearless Freddy was an interesting enough character as a kid, so my mom got me a Trackmaster of him. Cool. Alright, here's our first Trackmaster 2 model. This is of James. This was my first James model after the TOMY one sort of left my possession. Now, one thing that I did with all my Trackmaster 2 models is that I didn't like the fact that they couldn't freewheel, so I just opened them up, fucking took out the motor, and now they freewheel. Now, I kind of regret making that decision because I would have preferred my Trackmaster 2 models to stay powered, at least ones that were characters exclusive to Trackmaster 2, which we'll get into later. But, like, I hate Trackmaster 2. Everything about it is just awful. The tiny tenders, the fact that it's made out of a much cheaper plastic. I hate that the wheels are smaller. I hate that the engine's got much stumpier and fatter designs. I just hate everything about it. And I remember getting my first Trackmaster 2 model and just being so fucking disappointed that it couldn't freewheel. Whiff! Whiff was another weird character that no one really talks about anymore. And rightfully so. When your defining characteristic is the fact that you have glasses, I think it's just time for you to just scoot out of here. I actually like Whiff design-wise. I always thought it was strange how abnormally large his coal bunker was. And his face just... That face is fucking hilarious, dude. Yeah, there's not much to say about Whiff. He's accurate to his TV model, I guess. Which isn't saying much because Trackmaster already kind of suits his design. Alright, here is my Spencer model. I got this Spencer model at the same time I got my second Gordon model. And once again, I prefer this model. It may have a few missing details, like the buffers aren't colored or anything like that, which is fine. I'm fine with that because the shiny silver is just, mwah, beautiful. It suits him very well, and I like that. I think it's better than the old Spencer models that had more of just straight up white, not really silver, but this one's a shiny silver. I like that. Alright, let's get back to some Audrey characters. Here's Percy. Now Percy also doesn't work, which is really unfortunate. This is not a TOMY model. Okay, so Percy's a really nice model. I always thought that he just looked really nice. I particularly liked his rounded boiler, the classic TOMY styled face. I liked his shade of green, the colored dome. Everything about this Percy just looks really nice. And particularly the 4-wheel setup with no dummy wheels in the center, that was good. Good decision. I don't know why, but his coal bunker is interesting. I think they did a really good job molding that. I know it's a very minuscule detail, but it works. It works. All right, here's an interesting one. Here is Hero. Hero. The cool D51, I think it is, Japanese engine. Now this Hero is actually a broken remote control. His wire got cut somehow. I have no fucking idea how it is, and it just doesn't work. But when he broke, I took out something, I don't remember what, and I got him to start freewheeling, which, you know, is cool. But I kind of wish he still kind of worked. I still wish he worked. We actually got this model. It was one of the first things I remember actually ordering on Amazon. I really wanted Hero because I'd seen Hero Over the Rails, and I got Spencer, and I got the Stodor Steamworks set, I got Victor, and I wanted Hero because he was the token newbie of the movie. And when we got him, he was a remote control model who could not freewheel, and boy oh boy was I upset. But I didn't complain, I just kind of worked with what I had, yada yada yada. Here's a character who I don't really give a fuck about. Here's Belle. Now, what's kind of confusing to me is that Belle, I'm pretty sure, is the same class of engine as Arthur, yet their models are so different. I don't have an Arthur model to show you guys. I lost it or got rid of it a long time ago, which really sucks. But their models are so different. But that's besides the point. I think I only really got Belle I think the only reason I got Belle was because as a kid I kind of liked Day of the Diesels because I didn't know any better for some reason. Yeah, there's that. Here's our first road vehicle. This is Birdie the Bus. You guys saw him in the Season 25 rant. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that he had a battery in him that was still working after 10 years. Now, funnily enough, not too long after I made that post, his battery had officially died out, and I had to get him a new one for the Season 25 rant. Birdie was my favorite road vehicle that I had. Like, hands down. He was the only one that I had who was motorized because I didn't own Bulgy or Elizabeth or something like that. Wait, are you kidding me? What? There we go. So his current battery still works. It's good. I think his motor might be he might be pooing out, so that kind of sucks. I do want to get Bulgy though. Alright, here's a character that, again, no one really cares about. It's Neville, the steam engine who looks like a diesel engine and was racially profiled because of it. Neville's an interesting one, just I think due to his shape, and I think that's really the only reason why I got him. I didn't think, even as a kid, I didn't think his episodes really stood out. Outside of the accident that he got into in his debut episode, where he's like dangling over the bridge and whatnot, that's really about all that there was to him. His class of engine is very interesting. It's often regarded as ugly, but I just think that it's really unique for the more square, rounded square design. I like it, but Neville as a character is kind of fucking boring. Alright, here's a character that I hate and I don't really know why. Just hate in general. This is Scruff, the Scruncher. He was just a Sharon Miller era character that came out of fucking nowhere, and I don't like him at all. His Trackmaster model is very similar, is very good, very accurate to his CGI model, which, you know, give credit for, but why does he have an overly long coupling? What's up with that? I don't get that. He took the pill that gained 3 inches or whatever. But yeah, I just fucking hate this character. I know Andrew Brenner tried to give him one good episode in like season 17, I think it was, but even that episode was just mediocre at best, so fuck you, Scruff. Get out of here. Get out of my face. Bash. Enough said. I'm sort of skipping all of my rolling stock, by the way. I don't really need to go through all that crap. Alright, here's Paxton. Paxton is a friendly Diesel who first appeared in Day of the Diesels as a bad guy and then appeared in Blue Mountain Mystery as sort of a... I don't know, he was sort of neutral, I guess. He was nice, but he did rat out Luke to fucking Diesel. Like, why would you do that? I think he's a bit abnormally wide for a Diesel. I think he should be, like, the same size as Devious Diesel, but for some reason he's just, like, longer and wider than most of them. I didn't really get that, but his model's nice. Alright, so we're kind of in the final stretch. Let's keep going. Next up is Rusty. There's not much to say about him. He's also kind of aged a bit poorly. He has a chip in his buffer. He has a chip here, is all I'm saying. And he has some, you know, some of his paint is rubbed off, or decals, I guess you could call them. His face still looks nice. Look at that face. He's smiling though. Next up is Victor, who is another narrow gauge engine. Now, Victor, again, like when Hero of the Rails first came out, I thought it was like the coolest shit ever, because like, whoa, Thomas is in CGI and all that jazz. He looks weird. He doesn't look as realistic, but it's still cool, and I like these new characters, so I got toys of them. And Victor, I think, was one of my first. And I wanted him really bad because I had the Sodor Steamworks set, but you can't really have the Sodor Steamworks set without Victor. But yeah, I think his model's pretty nice. I think, again, this is another one of those models where Trackmaster really helped out with the proportions and all that jazz. Next up is another Trackmaster 2 model. This one is Samson. Now, I actually really like Samson's episodes. I know they're kind of looked down upon as the weakest episodes in season 18, but I really like them, and I really like Samson. I kind of wish they would have, like, had Neil instead. I know they're not the same engine, but they're similar enough where we're like, why not just have Neil? But Samson was cool, and I like his model. It's fine. Because he didn't have a Trackmaster model to compare, like a Trackmaster 1 model to compare to, his Trackmaster 2 model is fine. Now we have a model that I have a personal hatred for, Gator's Trackmaster 2 model. This was my first Trackmaster 2 model, and the one where I really learned about Trackmaster 2 and realized that there was no free will. That was really disappointing. But I still think Gator's a great character. I really liked him in Tale of the Brave, and his episodes in season, I think it was 18, were really good. Like Toad's, Toad's Bright Idea was really good. Missing Friend was really good. I loved him in Tale of the Brave. Yeah, there's not much to be said. Here's Charlie. Without any side rods, don't ask me why. Moving on, I don't like Charlie. Alright, here's my original Spencer model, the one where I was telling you it's primarily more of a white color. Because he has a battery in him. Does it still work? Nope. It bit the dust probably a while ago. Yeah, I already talked about Spencer. It looks good. It's a really good model outside of the fact that it's more white than silver. So, let's move on to a bit of a weird one. Here's Harvey. Now, Harvey is a weird model because he was one... Now, most tender-powered engines, the main, like, front part of the locomotive is unpowered and just kind of rolls along where the tender pushes them. Harvey was different. Because of Harvey's shape and size, I guess they couldn't really figure out how to get a battery compartment in there without making him look goofy. Trackmaster 2, I'm looking at you again. So they gave him a breakdown coach that had a battery compartment, and that would push him along. So that made him a bit of a weird one, which meant that he couldn't really pull trains, but I never really would have imagined Harvey pulling trains anyways. I'd imagine just kind of doing his whole crane engine thing. So yeah, that makes him exclusively a freewheeler with really weird wheels. But I liked him as a kid. I thought he was fun. I'd always have his crane back like this when I think it'd be a bit more screen accurate to have his crane forward like this. Alright, here's yet another Thomas model. This one we've already seen one that looks exactly like this. Here's my TOMY model. If you've seen my video talking about Easter from last year, you already know how I got him. Because I got him for Easter. Enough said. And here is the last train that we have for the day, my remote control Percy, who is also broken. Percy came with a blue coach and an interesting face, and I think that's really the only reason I wanted it. It was just because of the face. I don't know, there's not much to say, although I guess I will take this time to talk about the remote control aspect. Of course, these were engines that were remote controlled. You put them on the track and you use the controller to push them along. Now, what was interesting about this is that you can see, turn it on, and then you move it forward, and it... Okay, so mine's a bit funky. Oh, here we go. So you'd move it forward and it would make chuffing sounds. You'd move it backward and make slightly slower chuffing sounds. And then when it was in neutral, it would whoosh steam. I thought that was pretty cool. And then one button has really weirdly compressed versions of their whistle. And then another button played the hit entertainment era Thomas theme. We're just gonna vibe here for a minute. So yeah, I don't care who you are. I love the Hit Entertainment era Thomas theme. I think it's great. All right, so that was all of my trains. It's not a lot compared to a lot of other people's collections that I've seen. It's not the greatest amount, but I'm proud of it. There's a lot of fun in this old pile of plastic. All right, let's move on to the last few road vehicles, and they're all members of the pack, of Jack in the Pack. Now, I'm missing a few members because I don't think they were produced in the Trackmaster form. I'm missing Alfie, Isabella, Jack, and Max and Monty. I think are the only members of the pack that I'm missing. I do think Isabella was produced in Trackmaster, but I never got her. But yeah, I do have a lot of members of the pack. Here is Kelly, who had a crane arm, which I thought was cool. Here's my personal favorite member of the pack, Oliver the Excavator. I liked him because he could dig stuff. Here's Byron, who has sort of a screwed up this. It's kind of bent the wrong way, something like that, which kind of sucks. But I don't know. He still looks good. Next up is Buster, who I've heard is rare, but I looked it up. He doesn't seem to be rare. Now, I didn't like that he couldn't freewheel properly. Because his wheel turns and it clicks and it sticks, and I don't like that. And I don't know why they never made Trackmaster George. Nah. Here's Patrick Starr, Patrick the cement mixer. He was in my favorite episode of Jack in the Pack, which was called On Site with Thomas on my DVD. I don't remember what the original episode was. No, The Importance of Being Patrick is what it was called. That was my favorite episode from the pack. Alright, and then my last member of the pack is Nelson. Nelson I actually have 3 models of because I had that one set that he came with, and then I got the set again from another family member, so that's 2, and then I got a 3rd one for no reason. This is the only one whose wheels don't squeak when so he's my favorite. So yeah, those were all of my TOMY, Trackmaster, Thomas and Friends stuff. I didn't show you my rolling stock because, it's rolling stock. There's 7 plank wagons and boxcars with a couple tankers salted in. That's really about it. I hope you liked this video, and yeah, maybe one day I'll make more Thomas content. Who knows? Have a good one, and I'll talk to you, I don't know, one day.